If you are an early-stage startup entrepreneur, I gamble to bet that you might know who Steve Blank is. I had the honor and the pleasure to meet the author of the 4 Steps to the Epiphany and to ask Steve Blank what kind of advice he would give to global entrepreneurs.
You know, the biggest advice for founders outside of Silicon Valley is come to Silicon Valley. But the advice for people who are doing startups in their home countries truly is this customer development process really could work anywhere. And what it just simply says is, let's agree that you're the smartest founder in the building. But let's also agree there's no possible way you could be smarter than the collective intelligence of your potential customers. And those customers are right outside your door. But most founders will just put their heads down and do some more code or more hardware and say, oh, they're going to love it. And what I'm just asking is there should be a little voice in the back of your head that says, what if we're wrong?
That's a good question, of course. That's very important.
And the what if we're wrong doesn't say we're stupid. It says all we're doing is let's set up some experiments to see. And if you are the founder, so Steve, I've got it completely right. My pushback would say, well, then this should take like half a day. Let's just have, you know, the 10 people you're going to talk to today come back and say, I'll pay you right now. Or I'll use it tomorrow. And if no one says that, then we're going to have a very interesting conversation, and we might have saved you a lot of time and money.
Thanks to the World Wide Web, you have nowadays access to great online content that can lead you through the trenches of building a startup. See what kind of resources Steve Blank recommends.
So in the last 10 years, there's been an explosion of resources for entrepreneurs worldwide. You know, go to steveblank.com. There's a tab on top called Startup Tools with all the tools an entrepreneur might need to build a startup. There's another tab called Slides and Videos, which link you to the free videos I have on Udacity and lectures. There's another tab called Books, which will link you to a whole series of books. You know, there's my books, 4 Steps to the Epiphany and Startup Owner's Manuals. There's Eric Ries's book, Lean Startup. There's Alexander Osterwalder's Business Model Generation. So there's now kind of a stack of material. And of course, there are websites like Y Combinator News and, you know, ABC from Fred Wilson and Both Sides of the Table from Mark Susta. So there's a whole set of things that from anywhere anybody could connect in. And there's probably more than likely regional blogs for your particular country.
The fireside chat with Steve Blank at Rocket Space Studios was remarkable. It was a class indeed. This is why I would like to end this episode with a fundamental lesson learned about startups. So before we move on, what kind of startup are you?
But it turns out there are 4 types of startups, and when you leave here today, you ought to think about who you are. First type of startup is you're entering an existing market. How do we know it's an existing market? Any idea? Well, there's customers. What else is there in an existing market? Competitors. Great. What can the market tell you? What can they tell you? You get out into customer discovery. What can they tell you? Preferences, features, pricing, everything. They can tell you everything. You can learn a ton with customer discovery. And in fact, my definition of an existing market, you're entering with a higher performance product. And by the way, what's the axis of performance? They'll tell you, whether it's speed or service or something else. There could be another type of startup where the market exists, but the incumbents are so strong, attacking them head on with a higher performance product is suicidal. But you think that's a big enough market, you might want a piece of it. Well, there's 2 ways to approach an existing market that way. Is you could either find a niche, a set of users that need something you have discovered because you understand them well enough, or you could get the product made in China and make a low-cost version and deliver 80% of the features for 20% of the price. That's taking a segment of an existing market. So that's type 2. The third type is what Jobs was great at, and that's creating a new market. What do we know about new markets? Nothing. Right. Unknown customers, unknown pricing, unknown competitors. All we have is a vision. All we have is a vision. And again, we're either visionaries or we're hallucinating. And some people are really good at new market visions. Jobs was probably as good as it got. As good as it got. There's a 4th type of market outside the US. That's a clone market, where you adapt and you adopt working business models in the US for local countries like China or India or Russia. And so those are the 4 types of startups you need to be asking yourself. And again, Jobs was great at the new market stuff, and the questions you ask in customer discovery are very different depending on market type.
I hope you have enjoyed our episode. Stay tuned on Startup TV to learn from more startup experts.